Welcome back to Greels Reels, everyone. Thanks again for joining us for another Sunday. Listen, before we get going here, I need you to do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button, like button, comment something down below, all that good stuff. Share it with a friend because today we have, I don't want to hype this up too much, but I think this is going to be one of my favorite episodes of all time because we got from the West Coast, we're Coast Boys, Tanner Bishop, offensive lineman from the Jeezys. How's it going, man?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on here. I'm pleased to be here. I've been waiting. I've been waiting for my episode.
That's you know what? That's a real thing that I'm like struggling with. I'm like, man, because I only do one a week, right? So I'm like, man,
Right.
some of these guys are gonna be mad at me. Like, I mean,
No. I was just joking, but
good,
I was just joking. But I think deep down, I've been, I've wanted to be on the podcast, but yeah. But thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm excited to get into it, and yeah.
No, I appreciate that a lot. Actually, that means a lot. Abed's been giving me some. He's a busy dude, and he'll throw some chirps my way, being like, "Dude, seriously, like you're on episode 53 and you haven't asked me yet." I think we're in the 60s now, so I appreciate you being patient with me, though. I really do.
Yeah, no, it's really cool to be on here, and maybe Abed will get his turn soon.
He's a wish-wash listener is what I'll call it. He'll tune in every now and then, so I don't know if he'll actually hear this part. So if he does, hey, Abed, listen, the invitation's there, okay? Relax. Stop texting me. Yes, we all know you're the best at Madden.
I've never played him, but I've only seen like Instagram stories of him just whooping guys. Yeah, I've never played him though.
It's probably unless you really think that you can smoke them or at least give them a good game for your own like pride. It's probably just best not to play them.
Stay away. Yeah, I'll probably stay away. Yeah.
Oh man, so dude, we were chatting before, catching up, obviously, but I really want to go back to the start because obviously I'm an East Coaster. It's kind of funny how life brings people from all around together because I mean I don't think me and you could have grown up further apart realistically.
Yeah.
So tell me, because Vernon, right, born in Burton?
Yeah, Vernon, BC. Yeah, born there.
So what was that like?
Honestly, I love my hometown. Being out in Ottawa, it's been great. Or Ottawa Gatineau area, it's been great. A lot of new experiences out here. But I think I know Vernon's not as small as your hometown. I think Vernon's around 40,000 people. But I just think that hometown. That small town feeling like back home is something that I think will always stick with me. And I don't know, it was a great little city growing up in. Everything's close, so even if I had friends that lived across town, that's really only 5-10 minutes. So it's yeah, it was great. I'd say that's where all my best buddies are still, and then I think pretty much most of my family is back home in Vernon still too. So yeah, a lot of great memories growing up. Childhood was great, and I do miss it. Especially it's funny to say, I miss the mountains back in BC. Out here it's a little bit flatter. It's not like the prairies, but it's a bit flatter. But I do miss the mountains from time to time. Yeah,
for sure. Not the mountains, but the water is something that I always miss. Like, man, when you just get in that rut where you haven't been home and like every chance that it seems like you can get home, there's just a work commitment or a football commitment for yourself. It's just like,
right.
I'm like, there are some points where I'm like, oh yeah, like, hey, like trees and water, like that stuff exists. Like it's not just constant buildings.
Yeah, that stuff is out there. Yeah.
Now, yeah. Vernon, how many stoplights? That's sometimes how I judge to see how small a town actually is, despite the population.
Well, so Vernon, there's a highway that comes right through Vernon. So basically, if you're coming from Kelowna, which is a bigger city in the interior of BC, and you want to go to Kamloops, say, which is another bigger city in the interior, like pretty much all the population density, it's all down in Vancouver, basically, right? The Vancouver area, the mainland, and the island. But if you're coming, say you're coming from Kelowna and you want to go to Kamloops, you'd come through Vernon, and the highway comes like right through, and there's probably I'd probably say there's only like maybe 10 stoplights coming through there, but it's Vernon's growing. There, like from when I was born in '95, it's definitely gotten bigger, which is a good thing, I think. But it's not very big though. It's I guess coming out to Ottawa, right? Like I only lived in Vernon for the first 22 years of my life, so I've been in Ottawa for the last four, and so going from 40,000 to a million is a big jump, but. Yeah, I'd say it's not too big, but it's not too small either. Yeah.
Did you find
Yeah.
the same kind of transition into Ottawa where it was like, because I hear this so much and I actually do agree. I think Ottawa's a great like transition into a big city if you're coming from a small town because it's like, big city with a small town vibe. A lot of people say that and I agree a lot with that.
Yeah, I kind of do agree too. Yeah, it's when you look at the number of population, right? It's a million plus now or whatever. But I do agree there. Like when I came out, it did have a small town vibe. Like it wasn't like when I've gone to Vancouver or Toronto or Montreal or it's nothing like that. Like when you're in the biggest three cities in Canada, you know it. But yeah, no, I would agree. Yeah, it's Ottawa kind of has given it does give a little bit of a small town vibe. Yeah.
Now, BC is a very interesting province, in my opinion, because I've actually been fortunate enough to be out there a few times, but I feel like I haven't even really touched the surface of exploring that province because I've been to Vancouver, obviously,
Yeah.
like super simple. But I think even for me, I'm a little bit fortunate in the sense that I have some family. My uncle is in Abbotsford, so I got to check out that
Okay.
town
Yeah.
a little
Okay.
bit there. So it's like, aside from Abbotsford and Vancouver, that's really all I've explored. And I feel like there's just so much more.
Yeah, it's like I guess like being from BC, like you think about it in three different parts. So basically you'd have like your mainland in the Vancouver Island area. Then you have your interior, which kind of goes from, like from coast to coast or coast to border, I guess, to the Alberta border. And then you have like northern BC, which is I myself haven't been up there yet, but yeah, it's I feel like you've been like you said you've been to Vancouver, and I feel like just being there too, like there it's beautiful, right? Like it's expensive, but it's just beautiful in BC, and that's why like we have on all of our license plates beautiful British Columbia. So it's that's one thing to say about it. And but yeah, it's a it's a if you're outside of Vancouver, you're basically in a small town. Like I think outside of Vancouver, you have like in the interior in the north, I think like cities of like 100K and then less. But then yeah, when you're in that metro Vancouver area, that's when the population gets bigger. But yeah, just the whole province is beautiful, and anywhere you go, and yeah, except for maybe Surrey.
Well, now I'm curious because I'm trying to think. Like, I know Vancouver gets compared to like Canada's LA, and there's like movies being shot there all the time. Was there? Am I? Because obviously, I know Vancouver and like BC has had like this weed and marijuana reputation for a while too.
Yeah.
Wasn't there? Was there a Netflix documentary shot out there too about all that, or am I just drawing a blank on something?
I'm not too sure. I I could definitely see it, but I'm not too sure. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard of anything, but like yeah, I wouldn't doubt it though. Like
Okay, well, I mean, I'm probably wrong anyway. So like, we'll fix a because one thing I'm probably wrong about the documentary. So, but I know for a fact. I mean, a lot of movies are shot out there and stuff like that. And it's funny because when I was downtown Vancouver, I got to see Oh, it was the guy in Workaholics. I forget what the movie was called. I've since watched it on Netflix, but Mark Cuban was in it, and I actually got to see
Oh
like
yeah.
a few scenes
Okay.
being shot from the street. And Mark Cuban took a phone call and walked over and was like, "How's it going, guys?" And I'm like, "Hey, not much, Mr. Cuban. I'll hey, I mean, if you just wanted to drop like a $10,000 or something like that, or
Yeah, I would.
I'll be your personal assistant." Man's billionaire,
Yeah,
right?
no,
But
yeah, it's true. It's they do have a lot of films and TV series shooting in Vancouver, like you said. I guess like the LA of Canada. Yeah, I don't know. Now, yeah, that gets me thinking now because there's a lot of different locations that are used around Vancouver that are used for film and like that makes me think like Happy Gilmore was shot at a golf course in I can't remember where. It's just outside of Vancouver, but yeah, like it's true. Like, there's so many different movies and TV series that you don't even think about, but yeah, they're shot right there in Vancouver. Yeah.
well, my point in bringing this up was to ask, like, do you have any of those like similar stories where like you kind of just walking one day and you ran into like something being filmed, or did it even leave an impression where maybe you wanted to be an actor at some point in your childhood?
Not, I haven't had any experiences like that. We have had some films being shot in Vernon and the Lumbee and Enderby kind of area, which is all kind of pretty close to Vernon. I'm not too sure the names, but I don't know. Actually, it's funny when you say like being an actor. I've I took one drama class in high school, and I had a really good time with it. It definitely opened me up. I wasn't always like really shy, but before that class, I'd say I was a pretty shy person. And that class, just like doing improv every day, it kind of opened me up, and then acting, getting into that. And my drama teacher, he actually said that he said if your football career doesn't work out, you should become an actor. And maybe he was just bullshitting me, but well, maybe we'll find out in the next few years. I don't know. We'll see.
Hey, you know what? That was a big stretch on my part. I was like, let's see if like something hits here, like this
Let's do
hypothesis.
it. Yeah, yeah. Throw
But
it out there, and
that's a nice little tidbit that I did not know
yeah,
about you. And it's funny too because it's like when my first thought was like when you said, well, it's funny you said that. I thought you were actually going to go with like, yeah, I was actually like the backup or the understudy in this Oscar
no,
performance. And I actually have like a couple. Is it Oscars? Yeah, Oscars is the movie one, right?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, okay.
yeah, yeah.
So you're like, yeah, I actually have a couple Oscars that I just never decided
I
to.
have some credits in the. Yeah, no, I mean, I would have loved that. I think that as an experience would have been pretty awesome, but unfortunately,
Yeah, well, I
not
think
me.
come
But
on now, winning the Oscar definitely has to be up there with like winning the Grey Cup.
yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Even a suit like a Super Bowl as well. Like I feel like that would. I think what Kobe's the only athlete to have like multiple NBA championships and then like an Oscar as well, or what? Was it a Grammy or something like that?
might have been a because yeah, because Grammys are for like
For
music, the music industry. I don't know actually. Yeah, we're gonna have to do some research for that.
Yeah, I'm just
'Cause-
like shooting out a bunch of stuff that like I really should just like know if I'm gonna bring it up, but uh, I'm like
well, you never know if
I'm
I might know too, right? That's why you're
yeah. Well,
yeah
we're just kind of chit chatting here, you know.
yeah just
So
talking. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I did a quick search and it looks like Kobe is here. Yeah. Okay, yeah, he won an Oscar. So I mean,
Won an Oscar.
yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think it was like an animated film, right? Like on his life or whatnot, or
Okay.
I think anyway. I just want to be sure now because now I'm like,
You don't
let's
want to be
I don't
talking
talking nonsense.
yeah.
I'm curious though, with like the little bit of acting background, what's a TV show or a movie that you would 100% want to roll in right now?
Going on right now.
Hmm.
Um or a series or a movie that's like
Okay, hold on. Stop that train of thought because I got it
okay.
here. Kobe
Okay.
Bryant won the Oscar for best animated short film for the Deer Basketball one. That's what it was.
Okay. That's what they want for short film.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's
So
cool.
Now that's
NBA
an amazing.
championships and an Oscar.
Yeah, and I gotta say that's pretty impressive. But
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I mean, obviously he's one of also the greatest of all times. But
Yeah.
let's yeah, what's the going back to my question? What's a role right now that you would love to toss yourself into?
Oh, that's a good question. Like, I don't know. Like when I'm thinking of like a series, I think like for a series that's happening right now, they're on their last season. It's a show called Superstore. I don't know if you've watched it,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
it's
Well, I haven't watched it, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
you know, yeah, okay, yeah. So yeah, they're on their last season right now, and I just like I've watched the 5 seasons of that, and it's like the comedy is kind of where I would, if I ever acted, I think that's where I want to put myself into. But yeah, like definitely Superstore would be hilarious to be a part of. And then if I throw it back a little bit, a big show that I've really liked was How I Met Your Mother, and that
Dude,
lasted
come
from
on, man.
well,
That
you don't like it?
How I Met Your Mother ruined the whole show with the season finale of
Of the
the
whole
show
of
finale. Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like didn't really like it either. I don't think most people. I probably didn't sit well with most people that were fans of the show. Like after watching 9 seasons, but I think just like I've rewatched it, and I think just like it's something about comedy. Yeah, you know, like it's I guess like I've thought about it before too, where I thought like after you're done like shooting something, you know, just like that feeling of like I guess it's like you're happy that like you guys were able to like you and the rest of your castmates were able to put something out like that, like How I Met Your Mother or what they're doing on Superstore right now. Like big fans of both those shows. But then you're also like sad too, and it gets you thinking like, you know, like yeah, I don't know. It's a pretty cool way to like express yourself acting and it'd be pretty cool to be you know on TV as well. So, but yeah, I'd say if I had to give an older show and show that's going on right now, those would be my two.
Honestly, they are good picks. I'm still just kind of bitter because I did enjoy How I Met Your Mother for the longest time until the ending. I was just like, the ending for me just kind of like it flooded all the way through right to season one, episode one, and it was just like none of this really means the same anymore.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's a good point what you mentioned there, just in terms of like shows that go on for such a long period of time, and you film something, you create something, because it's almost a lot like in sport, right? Like when the final casting call and or like the final calls are made and the show ends, you do have a group of people that are very similar. Like it is a team
yeah,
who have spent the last like 10 probably on average maybe around like 8 or 9 seasons,
yeah,
but
yeah,
for the long ones, like I mean, Modern Family was on forever. I think Modern Family was closer to 20 seasons, I want to say.
yeah. They
Uh,
lasted for a while, hey.
maybe I think or okay, I was way off. Number of season I'm not a movie TV show expert as I could rhyme off some stats or stuff like that in sport that are pretty good, but okay, yeah. 11 seasons Modern Family. So like
Okay,
11 years
it's 11
of
years.
going, right? Like that's
Yeah, yeah,
and you're staying with that group. There are some shows too that are even like way up there, right? Like I know like those Law and Order shows are
they've
up
been on for
in the 20 years, and
yeah,
Grey's is at like 18
yeah,
seasons, I think right now, 17 or 18.
yeah, true.
I
And
think
even like,
that
even I
go
was
ahead.
gonna say, even if you think like it's not exactly the same because it's animated, but like you know you're still working with the same people. So like if you think about like The Simpsons, I think that they've been on
Mhm.
TV for what like almost 30 years or something like that. So like it's a similar type thing, I guess. Like um being animated, maybe it's a little bit different because you're not like on the screen yourself, and you're not actually doing that type of acting. It's more just a voice acting,
Mhm.
but nonetheless, I'm sure you still put everything into it, right? So
Oh, it's still super impressive. I think The one thing with like the cartoons and the animations though is like the because obviously like with show like Grey's, like actors and characters will age, right? Like life goes on,
That's true.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So if you can now, obviously it's extremely difficult to replicate the voice or stuff like that of these voice actors, but if it's animated, you don't see that. So that's kind of where you can get the longevity, I guess, in a
Yeah.
sense. That's where my brain goes in this.
No, that's
um,
true. Yeah.
so I think for yeah, just in terms of like the end, yeah, regardless, it's all extremely impressive. Like, I mean, 30 years, like that's like, to the fact too that like now that I'm even thinking, like Tom Brady is at like 21 years into his like professional career.
I know.
That is, it's wild.
This guy's got to go pretty soon here.
You're not a Tom, are you a Tom
Well,
Brady fan or a
I,
hater?
I mean, I don't hate him. I'm neutral, but I do respect him. Like, the things that he's done
Yeah.
for football, and the stats and everything that he's won is you I guess like 5 or 6 years ago, I'd say that I was probably a hater, but after he's just kept winning, it's kind of, and then he comes to a whole different team. It's kind of, obviously, with a pretty good set of offensive weapons, but still, like, to go out there and beat the Chiefs the way they did is, yeah, it's impressive. It says a lot about the football player he is, and he
Yeah,
made
well,
it.
he gets a lot of those offensive weapons too. I think in the sense of just being Tom Brady, like wherever he
Yep.
goes, there are people who are going to go. Obviously, there were some big factors in that Buccaneers team, like guys like Mike Evans, who were obviously there
Yeah.
before, but obviously Rob Gronkowski's not there. The some of those, like some of those pieces that they bring in is the Tom factor. But it's a good point with what you said. Yeah, before the Atlanta Super Bowl, I was a hater, and then after that Atlanta Super Bowl, I was just kind of like,
Just
the Patriots can't ask for any more from Tom Brady, and you know what? I'm gonna stop hating. I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy this because
yeah.
we're watching something that's never gonna happen again.
Never. No, never again. Yeah, I know. And I guess, like you said, like the Atlanta game was something else. And I guess for me, I've always been a Seahawks fan. So when Tom Brady and the Patriots beat the Seahawks after we didn't run the ball on the 1 yard line with Marshawn Lynch, there's a little bit of hate that came from that too. But yeah, no, like you said, now you just sit back, enjoy it, enjoy the show. And he's 40, 41, 42 years old, and he's still out there competing. It's impressive. Yeah. Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. They should have ran the ball there. I just kind of want to throw this out there because obviously you're an offensive lineman, and I wouldn't be able to tell you who was on the offensive line for that Seahawks, and obviously you do have Lynch as a running back. I'm
Yeah.
curious because I know the Seahawks are pretty infamous for not having a great O line. I don't know what it was like that season.
Yeah.
But
They weren't. Yeah, you're right. Like they've been for the past, since Russell Wilson came in the league, it seems they've always kind of lacked a little bit of in the O line. Like, it is what it is, I guess. They just got to try and find him some good protection. But I feel like being an offensive lineman, um, I feel like you're in the Super Bowl, you're on the 1 yard line. You have a timeout left, and I think there's still 30 seconds on the clock. I think there was, and you got 2 downs to play. Like, as an offensive lineman, you live for that 1 yard out. You pound it in, and you're Super Bowl champs, basically, right? Like, coming from me, like just knowing, like putting myself into that position, like you sacrifice your whole body, right? Like, exactly what you're doing on that play, and you make it happen, right? Like, there's nothing else to it. And but at the same time, there's a lot more that goes into it. Like, I'm not an NFL coach. I don't have all these things going into my head like they do, I'm sure, right? So and I'm not a coach at all. Maybe one day, hopefully. But yeah, I feel like maybe, coming from my perspective, it's a little biased, just because, like, I'd love to run the ball anytime, right? Anytime in the game. But from the 1 yard line, yeah, you don't see them stop too many times on the 1 yard line. So but
Well,
It
no,
is what it is. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's history now, and but that was the first time that thought had ever actually occurred in my head, and it was mainly because I was talking to you about it, who was an offensive lineman. So I'm like, man, do you think maybe like
Maybe they
maybe
didn't
there was
trust.
maybe there was a
Yeah.
little bit of a
Yeah.
mistrust in the O
Could
line at the
be.
time,
Could
and
be.
I like
Yeah.
obviously I guess the only people who have that answer is it's one person, Pete Carroll, really,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Because I guess too, like now that you bring that up, like maybe there was a lack of trust with the O line, and also maybe like thinking about it, like maybe they thought the Patriots D like 100% thought it was going to be a run play, so they thought they'd throw
yeah,
that quick little slant and it would be open. But then, sure enough, Malcolm Butler, the corner there that broke it up, was just he was all over it. He didn't have any. He wasn't having any of that. So
and I think there is some like because the NFL does a great job at documenting literally every second that happens. So there is a
yeah,
great NFL film piece that like breaks that whole thing down again. But I am curious if because I know there was a justification on Pete Carroll's side too of it, but I wonder if there was any like just like subconsciously with him if he was just like oh like I like above like say reasons A, B, C, there maybe was like a little hindering hint of like, oh, I don't know if our O line can get this right now. But
yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, still I think if there was nobody there, like no offensive line, just Russell picked the ball up and handed it to Marshawn.
Yeah,
I think he gets in.
he's got a good chance. Yeah, like after seeing him at the break the plane camp that one year, I could just imagine just give him the ball. He's gonna find a way to get in there. Like,
That
yeah,
must have been actually a pretty cool experience for you, as a Seahawks fan.
yeah, it was really cool. I wish I know it was for the kids, so I kind of just stayed away and we had a couple words, but nothing crazy. But I do wish, maybe it was more of a meet and greet for me. But no, it was really cool to see, yeah, to see Marshawn Lynch there, beast mode, like those two runs that he had against the Saints and then against the Cardinals, like the beast mode run. Like it was really cool to just see him right there, like 5 yards away from me. Yeah, it was really cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I guess you become a Seattle fan because that's probably geographically the closest spot to you.
Yeah, that's kind of how it happened for me. Yeah, like I guess Vernon is about 4.5 hours from Vancouver, and then Vancouver is another, I want to say like three, 2.5, three to Seattle. So from Vernon to Seattle is probably about seven total, but 7 hours total. So I guess yeah, geographically they're the closest to Vernon. Yeah.
So as a football fan, was there many road trips out to Seattle to see NFL games, or did you just kind of just enjoy from
Oh,
afar?
just from afar, like thinking back to it now, like I'd love to get out to Seattle one day and just watch a home game and or more than one, but or even try and like catch them when if they come to the Bills, come and play Buffalo in the next year or so. Because I don't know where life will take me, but for now I'm here, and if I don't think COVID will permit me going down there this season. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, that would be really cool to go watch a live Seahawks game. But I only ever went through Seattle once. It was for a high school football trip. We went to Oregon to play a team down there, and then we watched the Oregon State Beavers play the Louisville Cardinals the day after. So we just drove through Seattle. Didn't even stop. But yeah, I'd love to watch a home game there. Yeah. Yeah.
I've always like loved Seattle as like just this town. Like I would love to check it out because they have this like coffee history and all that. Anyway, I was
Yeah.
listening
Dude.
to a an interview the other day with Macklemore, I think it was, who's from Seattle,
Yeah.
and it got brought up in the interview in the podcast. It was like, oh yeah, it like rains like 280 days of the year in Seattle or something like that. I'm like, how do you get anything done?
Yeah, I know.
It's
That's the
like
same thing. That's the same thing with Vancouver. Yeah. Like you hear about people that live there. It's just always raining and but I guess they luck out into the winter because when you see, I don't know, in the middle of winter, if you see like a nationwide forecast, you have the East Coast and then in Ontario, Quebec, and then the prairies. and even interior BC, everybody's sitting at, -10 and then up to -50 some places. And then you got little Vancouver down there on the West Coast and they're sitting at like 7 degrees. And so I guess you deal with the rain for most of the year, but you don't deal with the cold, I guess. So
Yeah, hey, Ottawa, you can agree on this with me. Ottawa winters suck compared to the coast winters.
and yeah, to anywhere else probably.
I
Yeah,
show
no,
up and like people are like, dude, you're from Newfoundland. Why are you like complaining about it being so cold? And I'm like, dude, the only thing like, yes, we have crappy weather, but it's like, it's not, it's just, it's inconsistent. And it's like, I'll leave the house, it'll be sunny. By lunchtime, it'll be snowing. By dinner time, it'll be freezing rain. And then we'll be in a blizzard in the evening. And like, it's just like, what do I do kind of thing. Right.
yeah,
But it's
yeah,
still not that cold.
no, yeah,
Oh man,
yeah.
like freaking -30, -25. I'm like, no,
No,
thank you.
yeah. I like from Vernon, is interior BC, and we don't see too much snow through the winter. I'd say it's probably like I want to say like just less than 100 centimeters each year, where like Ottawa, I think, is like 250 or more, and somewhere around there. I don't know the exact stats, but just to give you an idea. And then with the weather itself, like I think the average in Vernon probably sits around 0 during the winter. Yeah, they'll get about a 2 week period in February, which happens like every year, where it gets into like -20,
Mhm.
and that's just how it goes. But yeah, like coming out here, I remember for my visit, it was the first weekend of March in 2017, and I come out with a pair of jeans and a hoodie and some shorts and things like that, right, to do a workout or whatever else. But that's all I had was a hoodie and jeans. And I remember that weekend, it was, I think, -25, and then with the wind chill, it must have been like -32. And I just remember thinking, like, it's March. Like, I know it's early March, but it's March. Like this year, I had buddies golfing like the second week of March. Like there's no snow, there's no cold weather coming into March back home. So like when I came out here, I wasn't prepared. So I definitely agree. It's a different winter. It's a different winter out here. Yeah.
100%. Now, uh, here's something that I always kind of forget about you, but it's super. I'm just fascinated by the fact that like you're a twin, eh?
I am. Yeah, I am. Yeah, we're fraternal twins. So yeah, we I would say we don't look alike really at all, but like friends and family and like even Julia, she's said like he can see it in our faces. But other than that, like, and I guess another similarity that I've noticed that other like friends have pointed out is we laugh very similar. But other
Mhm.
than that, yeah, it's like I had friends like that Brock didn't have through high school that had no idea that we were twins. Like 5 years of high school, no idea. Like they found out a year later after graduation that I was a twin, and that they knew who Brock was, but weren't necessarily like as good as friends with him as they were with me. But they didn't know we were twins for 5 years. So it goes to say, we don't really look alike, but
Okay. So
yeah.
was it maybe more so? Did you guys look more like when you were younger? Was that something or?
Yeah, we for the first little bit pretty similar. Probably for the first few years, and then as we started getting into like 3, 4, 5 years old, we were similar looking, not so much in like body size and everything, but we like our parents, we like I remember like Brock and I, we were always running around in sandals, shorts, and I just remember like a black t-shirt, and we rocked like little mullets, I remember. And like so in that sense, we were twins. We looked exactly the same. But yeah, eventually I guess like as we got into elementary school, I kind of hit an early growth spurt. Like I have a picture of me in kindergarten where I think I'm just towering over all the other little like all my other little friends in kindergarten. And I guess yeah, once I got into elementary, that's where we stopped really looking similar. Yeah, it's kind of where it
Okay.
yeah. So yeah.
A lot of competition. Like, were you guys just at it constantly, like just trying to one up each other?
Um, you know what, actually? Uh Not really. In some parts, like I'd say like nothing too physical because I'm a big guy. I always I'd always give Brock the beat down. Like he always makes fun of me when we were kids that that when he wouldn't want to finish his dinner, I was right there. I was right there to finish his food. So nothing would go to waste with me in the house. And but yeah, no, not too competitive with each other, but we competed a lot together. Um, yeah, we played sports growing up together. I eventually in high school I took into football, and he kind of did, kind of didn't really. Like he I think he wanted to play, but maybe the drive wasn't there where like when I picked it up, it was something I felt like I could pursue and it could take me places. And but other than that, I guess competition wise was maybe just video games. Yeah, we Halo back in the day, or a little bit of NHL or something. We'd get a little competitive, but for the most part competing together. Yeah. Yeah, so
NHL. So are you a big Canucks fan then?
I am. Yeah. Yeah, I am. Yeah. So that's the thing, like being a Canucks fan and a Seahawks fan, they have that Northwest Pacific vibe where they have their blue and their green. And I don't hate the blue and green, but I don't love it. I'm
Okay.
not gonna. I do like it. I don't hate it. It's I'm iffy on it. They both the Seahawks and the Canucks have done some good jobs with their uniforms to make it not too you know I wouldn't use the word disgusting, but the blue and the green mix, it's, I don't know, it's not my favorite, but yeah, I am a big time Canucks fan. Yeah. Yeah.
Who are some of your players in that sport, like favorite, like childhood memories? Because the Canucks, actually, for you being a 95, correct me if
Yeah.
I'm wrong, but you had like you're probably like pinnacle of being like a hockey fan was filled with some very successful Canuck years.
Yeah, like well, when I was, I guess, 4, they drafted the Sedin twins, and then for they were with Vancouver for 18 years, I think, or somewhere around there. And so yeah, like the Sedin twins, Marcus Naslund, there's a little thing with Todd Bertuzzi there. But I remember like growing up, like we had they always had a good team, but they never really made it out of the first round of playoffs whenever they would get in, until that 2011 Cup run, and where they lost to Boston, which still sits with me till this day. But yeah, a lot of good Canucks players through the years, and a lot of guys to cheer for. But I'd say for me, the Sedin twins, I pretty much grew up with them, knowing the Canucks. They were there from '99 till 2017, I believe. And so yeah, just like even watching when they retired there, even watching their little highlight video, it's brings some tears to your eyes just to see the years go by, because that's who I grew up with, cheering for the Canucks. So yeah, so definitely those two would be. And then I guess it's kind of funny too, because I'm a twin. So whenever Brock and I would be playing road hockey, we were the Sedin twins and things like that, right? So yeah, yeah, big time Canucks fan. Yeah.
I mean, the Sedin twins, dude, man, they've just such an incredible mark left on the league, right? They were fun to watch, even just somebody as like I'm not really a Canucks fan in the slightest. I liked Roberto Luongo, and that was kind of the stint of it when I was growing up. But
Okay.
yeah, they just some really good years, and the Sedins were definitely a part of that as well. And I guess you're pretty excited about the future then too, as a Canucks fan. It's looking
Yeah.
half decent.
Yeah, in last year in the playoffs there, where they had the bubble set up, there, a lot of young guys, and they were looking really good, and it was exciting. And so far this year, it's been a little, iffy, I guess. But and then with COVID hitting them at the start of April, like they sat out for, I think, like 2 weeks or more, and now they're back. They're back playing now. They've played 2 games against the Leafs, and they've won both games. They won 3-2 in overtime, and then 6-3 last night, I think. So I'm happy about that. And hopefully, yeah, the future is bright with those guys. They got a lot of young talent and a lot of good talent. So yeah, I'm hoping to maybe see a playoff push pretty quick here, and we'll see what happens. But yeah.
Yeah, I honestly, I just find it so much funner to follow hockey when all the Canadian markets are, excelling above and beyond. Because, in all honesty, even when like because I mean, my grandfather was a Habs fan, so I just kind of grew up as a Habs fan. And
Okay.
but even getting when Toronto was good, like it is like the NHL is a lot funner to watch. Like as hard as that may be
Yeah,
to
for some
say,
people to yeah.
right? Like I don't like I'll own that. Like even as a Habs fan, like when the Leafs are good and like the Habs are good, and maybe even throw in Ottawa there, like it is fun to watch, right? Like even
Yeah.
the the massive collapse that the Leafs ended up having in the playoffs there, like when they got back
Yeah.
with like Boston, like even though they were on the wrong side of it, that was a
Ugh.
crazy series.
It was. Yeah, it was fun to watch. Yeah, it really was.
So
Yeah.
obviously, your specialization is football. So we'll dial it back and go in there. So the Sedins are the childhood hockey heroes, but who's the football hero?
Growing up, like, because I guess like I'm a huge Russ fan, huge Russell Wilson fan. When they were talking about him maybe being traded to the Bears or something, I was scared because that's a guy you can't let go. I mean, he's been the offense for his whole career, so I wouldn't want to see him go. But growing up, being a little bit younger, I didn't start playing football till grade 8, so 13. But I was always kind of interested in it. I watched it a little bit in elementary and everything growing up. But for some reason, I just remember being like a Roethlisberger fan, and I don't know why. It's died down a little bit now. I don't hate him, but yeah, I just remember watching Big Ben, throw the football, and I have a coming to university, I don't have a good arm now, but compared to the quarterbacks and the guys that are slinging it here. But like in high school, I remember my head coach said that it's too bad I'm so big because man, I can throw the ball. And like I always remember thinking about Big Ben, and that was kind of who I was. Like I wanted to be Big Ben. I wanted to be a quarterback.
Yeah, Tanner, come on now. Everybody wants to be a quarterback.
Everybody, yeah. I even made a status, I think, in grade 8 or 9 on Facebook where I said I was complaining something about how I really wanted to be a quarterback, but the coaches said I'm too valuable on the offensive line or something like that. Complaining on Facebook.
So when you got introduced to football in grade 8, I guess in terms of actually playing it, did they immediately just stick you on the O line? Like there was
Yeah.
no
Yeah, nothing else. You weren't. Yeah, I wasn't trying anywhere else. I was offensive line and defensive line, and that carried through all of high school. And then I played a year of city football too, because my grade 12 year in high school, we didn't have a football team, so I had to play a year of city. So I played offensive line and defensive line that year too. And then when I came into junior football, that was just when you come into junior, it's kind of like university in a way where you kind of pick a position, and that's kind of what you get into, right? Like that's your position, right? So I took over offensive line, and that's yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
think separated you from the, I guess, D line then? Like what really gravitated? Do you think you were just better at more or less protecting than trying to break through? Or
Yeah, in a way, yeah. I was better at protecting, run blocking, pass blocking than I was, getting after the quarterback. Like I was an okay tackler, but I guess being as big as I was in high school, I wasn't chasing anybody down really, right? So I was just kind of there to fill some gaps and then get the odd quarterback sack. But yeah, but also too, like if I had to say, I enjoyed offensive line more because I'm not necessarily the one scoring the touchdowns, but I love scoring touchdowns. Yeah, like it's a feeling that that's almost unmatched. That yeah, I don't really know too much to say about it, but it's a great feeling just being out there scoring touchdowns with the rest of the guys on the offense. So I'm glad that's where I went, was into the offensive line and not the defensive side of the ball. So
well, it's funny you say that. The scattered TFL or the sack when you were on the defensive line, because we did see you make a tackle in.
we did.
Obviously, when your O line's making a tackle, it's never a good thing.
Not yeah. It was a tackle, and it was against Queens. Yeah. So, but you're right. Yeah. Whenever it's an offensive lineman, usually it's not a good thing. Yeah.
No, it was after a turnover. But you covered, like, I'm trying to remember. I remember the end of the play, but you covered like probably what, like 8 yards of distance there.
Some pretty good ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember like my mom was so hyped up. She even has a picture of it screenshotted on her Instagram. Usually I'm just making the blocks and I'm just, you might hear my name every now and then, but that was me making the tackle. That was, yeah. So it was funny. And then I guess too, another thing to bring up was the Panda game in 2019 where I hustled down, and I don't think I was credited for the special teams tackle. I think they maybe gave it to Spooner, but I flew in there and hit that guy. And I don't know if you remember that, but I was happy. I was happy to get down there and do that. So
We're skipping ahead a little bit, obviously chatting about university ball, but I just want to ask, how hard was it to not just have to internally celebrate that tackle as opposed to just being able to show it all out on the field and just had that massive celly after? Obviously, I think it was an interception.
Yeah, it was an interception. Yeah, it was a nice tackle for me, and I was happy with myself, and like it was almost like I wanted to celebrate like for the first second after, but then I realized that it was an interception and they got the ball back, so then I just got angry right away and then walked off the field. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you saved the touchdown there. I mean,
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I think there was a. I think. Yeah, I think it might have gone back if I didn't grab onto that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what? We're not going to pump your tires too much here. So let's go back to high school, and when you're just kind of figuring out the game and stuff like that. How much work did you start putting into in terms of like the field? Because I feel like I never played youth football or anything like that, but I almost assume like you're not really getting any like blocking schemes or anything like that. They're almost just looking at you being like, "Hey, push this guy."
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, like for me, like where I played football, it wasn't super technical. It was just, yeah, like you said, the guy in front of you, that's your job, and you go and you move that guy, right? Basically, right? Or if you're pass protecting, then you make sure you don't let him by you. And that was pretty much how it was in high school. And we worked really hard, and a lot of time went into it. I never won a championship or anything like that. I know some guys they get a provincial title or something like that, but yeah, no, just it was I guess my first year technically was grade 9, and we in grade 8 we didn't have a junior team, so it was just a senior team at my high school. It was grades 10, 11, and 12 played together. And me and some buddies went to the head coach of the senior team and asked if we could do a junior team. And sure enough, that was the start of the junior team for my high school the year after. And it was 9 and 10, grade 9, 10. So, but yeah, don't want to get off track there too much. But yeah, you're right. It was basically just the guy in front of you as an offensive lineman, just move him, just move him. There wasn't anything really with footwork too much. It was just get into the guy and drive him. Yeah.
Now, so how do you start learning basically and growing in the position? Because essentially you went from high school to the Broncos, which I'm blanking on the league name. Obviously, you'll kind of fill in that information there, but that like West Coast, that's some good football there.
Yeah. So it's the British Columbia Football Conference, which is in the CJFL, the Canadian Junior Football League.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. So basically, within BC, I would say it's pretty good football because when you look at it, within BC, there's only one university that has football, right? So it's UBC. When you look at in the province, you got Alberta, they've got 2 schools. Saskatchewan's got 2 schools. I guess Manitoba's the other province that only has 1. That's U of M. And then in Ontario, they've got 10 or whatever we have here. Quebec has a bunch, and then out east, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick have a bunch too. But so I'd say it's good football because a lot of guys are not sure if they want to do university. Some guys are never sure what they want to take in school. Some guys just want to work after school and after they're finished high school and play football. So it was a good opportunity. And I guess for me, my first year of junior football, my offensive line coach, his name was Brian Olthius, and he was the father of the head coach there for the Broncos, Duncan Olthius, and he played way back in the day as a tackle for the for University of Alberta. So he's he's been around the offensive line for a long time, and he's kind of the guy that started me out when it came to technical offensive line play. Getting the footwork down and getting your steps in every day, and that's kind of where that picked up for me coming into the junior league. At the high school level, you can kind of get away with just moving guys, right? Like if you're a big, strong guy, you can get away with just moving people. But yeah, when you get into into the next level of junior football and then university, obviously you got to know what you're doing, and your footwork is going to help you out a lot, right? It's probably the most important thing because it's what gets you to the guy, right? So if you're not using it properly or you don't know what you're doing, then you're kind of behind. So
Well, it's
yeah.
interesting the intricate details that comes with being an offensive line, and I'm right away my head goes to like, oh wow, like dude, like good for you, Tanner. Like you were able to make this transition and this jump to junior, which is obviously a step up. Like there's some good athletes in those leagues, and you're able to
Yeah.
play that. And then from there, did you play 1 year or 2 years with the
With the Broncos. So I was actually in with the Broncos for 3 seasons.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so 3 seasons. But my first year out of high school, I was supposed to go play there in Kamloops, but I took a year off and I ended up just working out. I didn't play football for a year. But yeah, so I played three seasons with the Broncos. Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
you basically get like 3 years of, let's say, like quality football education, and you're able to make that jump into the U Sports League. Like, are you proud of yourself, and like, are you recognizing that accomplishment more or less?
Yeah, I am. I definitely am. Like looking back on it and reflecting, like I think about myself coming out of high school. Um, a lot of the guys that I played football with in the last few years there, because I only played 3 years with the GGs. A lot of those guys were guys that came right out of high school. You know what I mean? Or Cégep, right, in Quebec, because that's a whole different thing. It's similar to junior, but it's got the school in there as well. And I don't know, maybe the D1 and D2 is pretty similar to junior as well. I wouldn't put junior down into like the D3 level, but there's still some good ballers out of the D3 level for Cégep. But yeah, no, it's definitely I'm definitely proud of the work I put in to transition from high school to then junior and then to university, because yeah, high school I didn't really have any offers. It was just junior football guys were asking me to come out and play for them. Didn't have anything from university teams, and I think maybe that's why I didn't play right after high school, because I was just kind of in high school I was so set on going to university, playing football right away. And then when I didn't have any university offers, maybe I was a little upset with that, so I took a year off and then went into junior. And yeah, those 3 years were definitely big in my like just being able to kind of progress and get better at actually playing the sport, because high school I was just a big guy and I just move around and move people. But that was a big leap in my development at the junior level. So yeah, I'm definitely proud. Yeah.
When you're not getting offers, like how much of like obviously it's discouraging. So like, what are you doing to kind of just I mean remain optimistic, and you adding into like you take the year off, like a lot of times like the reason why a lot of people say like, oh, like don't take a year off, like get your schooling done as quickly as possible, is because there's this whole like sometimes, and I guess like the stigma of taking a year off is like 1 year quickly turns into 10 years, and then all of a sudden you just never did it,
Yep,
right?
that's very true. Yeah, that's a thing that I've seen, where a lot of people where they say they'll just take a year off. You're right. It's 1 year turns into 10, or they just they say they'll take a year off, but they just never end up going back. And um, I think it was just work while I was working out and just working. I was just working at Walmart in the produce section, and I just remember thinking like, like I want to go back to football. I miss it. Like I miss everything about football. Maybe not training camp or practice that much, but but everything else that comes with it. But yeah, like I just remember thinking like I was discouraged quite a bit, just because I didn't think I was gonna end up going anywhere where it was something that I wanted, pretty like so bad, but it didn't happen for me. So I think I just took that year off for me to focus on myself, focus on training, and then I got back into it. And yeah, it was tough looking back at it now. I think I'd have some things to tell myself, right? Just like, especially using the junior route to get to university. Cause like I know Reed Kessler, he also played for the Colts, which is a junior football team in Calgary. And, when you think about it, like a lot of people kind of play it down because it's not university football, but there is a lot of good athletes and a lot of good coaching. And some guys coming out of high school, they could really use 2 years of developing their skill, right? Like they could really use it. So
Well, yeah, just right quick, because you going off of that, and you just mentioned Kessler. I believe Kessler, his starting defense, he was, I think, middle linebacker or outside linebacker. He was one of the linebacker
right.
positions,
Yeah.
but he broke down through everybody who was on that starting defense of his Colts team, and I think there was something like 7 or 8 guys playing at the U Sport level, and then 1 or 2 who had already made the jump to the CFL.
Yeah, it's exactly that's the thing because you can play junior football and go straight to the CFL, and I wouldn't doubt it. Like 7 or 8 guys, sometimes even more, like coming through junior football. Because when I was playing in my first year, I had um, a receiver that I played with that was playing, or sorry, he was on the BC Lions practice squad. Because how junior football works is there's a bit of like ownership. So the Lions have ownership over the BC League, so they can sign guys to their practice squad that are within the junior league there. So I play with a receiver, and he would practice with the Lions during the week, and then he'd come play with us on Saturdays. So yeah, it's true, and I've seen a lot of guys go from Kamloops, from the Broncos, play a year or two, sometimes even 3 or 4. If that's what it takes, and then go and have a pretty good career at the U Sports level. It's I think a lot of people play it down, but sometimes that's just a part of your journey, and sometimes you just need that development before you make that leap to use sports football. So
You mentioned in that year, like you're reflecting on yourself and stuff. Are you like, because I think sometimes when I do self-reflection, I tend to almost maybe go a little bit more to like negative and really kind of criticize myself and look at different things like that. Is that similar for you, or are you maybe just kind of looking at maybe just some, hey, here's an addition that I need to kind of make in the day to day or something like that?
when I was taking the year off
Yeah.
between high school and junior, yeah, I think it probably started negative.
Mhm.
Now thinking back to it, I'm sure it did. It was kind of just feeling like my plan didn't work out. All those anxieties that come with what am I gonna do, right? What am I gonna do next? And I think it definitely started negative, but um, I had some buddies that played for the Broncos that season too. And I think just kind of keeping in communication with them, and then also just keeping myself accountable in the gym, it kind of helped me just build that sense of like, I guess a sense of worth. Like coming out of high school, so many people know what they want to do, but there's a lot of people that don't. And I was one of those people that just didn't know, like what I wanted to do. And I think like having that communication with some of those guys that were playing junior, and then just like working on myself in the gym was a big part of like getting myself feeling better about myself, and then getting back into football. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't easy. I'm sure it wasn't easy for myself looking back, but yeah, you just got to persevere, and you do have to find a belief in yourself. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, it's huge because, just kind of, I think of like my own academic situation, right? Different from sport. And it's basically sometimes when you have this goal, it might not exactly play out in terms of like how you expect it to, but you can very much like more or less you almost end up going on a roller coaster ride, but you still get to the end. It's just
Yeah.
not how you expect it sometimes, right? So
Yeah.
it's important during that duration not to get lost, right? Because funny enough, it's like I always wanted to go to Ryerson right out of high school. That was where I wanted to go immediately for my undergrad, right? And I got waitlisted, had to do a year of like local college at the College of North Atlantic in my hometown kind of thing. And that whole year, it was like, man, like what, like I did this to myself. Like I didn't spend enough time on my books and my studies to get me into the place that I wanted to be at. And now I got waitlisted, and I'm kind of like I'm almost living my punishment for what I did. And
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
try not to think of it like that, and you look at it as a new opportunity. And eventually I got there, had a great academic year, still didn't get into Ryerson after spending everything that I did. But it's funny enough that, like, I find out about uOttawa, I get accepted there. I have an incredible 4 years at the University of Ottawa, to which I think was probably a better fit for me, actually, for my undergrad. And now, hey, I'm at Ryerson there now doing my
Yeah.
master's. So it's like,
Yeah.
it
It's
just
fu-
happened.
yeah, it's funny to look back on it, hey, just to think like it was something that you wanted and then it didn't come at the time, and sure enough, like 4 or 5 years later, you're there. And I guess, yeah, that's the thing. You just gotta, if it's something that you really want, and it's right for you, things will work out, right? Things will work out. But like you said, it might be a roller coaster getting there, and it might not be the exact way you wanted it to go to get there. But yeah, sometimes things have a funny way of working themselves out, and you just gotta persevere and just keep working on yourself and take care of yourself. And yeah.
Well, it's similar to your story in the sense of, you were looking for those university offers out of high school, and eventually you get yourself there. So now I want to, fixate on the decision of, hey, you're going to be a GG, Ottawa. And I guess, hey, like, I don't know how much you're going to recognize this for yourself, but you were a big prospect and a big recruit and a big signing for the GGs. So, like, how did it
Yeah.
feel to go from a guy who didn't get any offers out of high school to now, like, hey, like, you're almost like the big name in this class?
Yeah, it was pretty cool actually. Like, yeah, just going from it, I guess it was like recognition that I'd never experienced before, right? Just like seeing my name pop up on different articles, and people talking about my name and talking about me. And it was really cool. Yeah, I just remember, like, even during training camp my first year, I sat down with Spencer there, and he interviewed me. And I think that was, that kind of came out of nowhere for me. Like, they showed up a day before. They're like, hey, yeah, we're going to talk to you. We really want do an interview with you tomorrow. Like, how does this time after practice work? And I just remember thinking, like, I guess for me, like, I was 22, so I had matured quite a bit, since high school. But it was still kind of like so new to me, right? Like, playing in the Broncos, there's a lot of people that shined, and like a lot of people that got a lot of recognition. But I was always a guy that just kind of worked my tail off, and just kind of did my job, and hid in the shadows, I guess. But yeah, it was really cool, like coming out to Ottawa. And that's funny, like, that you say that, because I guess, coming from my perspective, I never saw myself as this big recruit coming in, this guy that people were probably talking about before I showed up, saying this guy's gonna, come in, he's gonna play right away, he's gonna do this for us, right? I never really thought about that. But now that you bring it up, like, yeah, you're right, because I guess you were here a year before me, so coming into the thing, because your first year with the GGs too was my first year, wasn't it, when you first came in and
Yeah, so
working with us?
I did a year post secondary,
Yeah.
just like, being a student. Like, didn't I lived with Beezer and Trey, was
Yep.
always
Yep.
around. And so I had nothing to do with the team until after my second semester of the winter semester of my first year. I did the training camp, flew home for the summer, came back, and then, yeah, I believe that was your first introduction. Then was
Yeah.
that training camp in August, right? Because
Yep.
you came in
Yep.
August, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And then, so that was my first season working, was also your first season of playing. But I guess,
Yeah.
technically I got one camp on you, Tanner.
Yeah. Yeah. You did. You were there earlier in the year than I
Yeah,
was. So,
but yeah.
but yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, no, it was pretty cool just coming in, and just kind of having, like, I guess for me, like, I it wasn't that I thought I was gonna start right away, or planned that I was gonna start right away. I wanted to, though, and I was gonna make sure that it happened. And sure enough, in every game that I played, I started. And that's something that I'm proud of, right? Like, like when we're talking about going from high school to junior football and coming into a youth sports program, and starting every single game that I played in, like, it's a big thing for me. I guess I was an OUA rookie as well my first year. But other than that, not a whole lot of other.
Hey, you just downplayed that. I'm gonna correct you. Oh, you a all rookie team. Come on, man.
Yes, that. Yeah, no. I'm very happy about that. I'm very proud of that. But I think to put with that, I would put starting every game because as an offensive lineman, you battle every game, you battle every practice, even and I think the fact that I was able to start every game I played in kind of shows some resiliency in me, and I'm definitely proud of that. So yeah, but yeah, really cool transition coming to uOttawa. It was really awesome.
Now, I want to ask you in terms of just that rookie season and adjusting because, like, you started the games and all that. It was a rocky start. Because we pulled out the win, and I don't want to I don't want to hurt you too much here,
Oh
but
no, it was
that Guelph game, even though we got the win in double overtime, it was not like I
no.
think a lot of quarterback sacks there.
Yes. Many quarterbacks. It well, when I think about that game, it's my first game, and on that starting offensive line, we had Amy was a tackle who was kind of thrown back and forth between offensive and defensive line, and I'm not too sure how often he started, but he was one of the tackles. We had John Fabian, who was in his rookie year playing as a tackle. Me and Sitko were
No, Bruder.
yeah. Bruder was the
Bru-
left guard.
I thought
Yeah,
Bruder was the center, wasn't he?
Bruder played center, but that game we put Bruder with on the left guard just to kind of keep
Okay, yeah.
communication between Sitko and John because two new rookies. So that was the thing. It was Sitko was center, a rookie, John a rookie at left tackle, me a rookie at right guard, and then Bruder and Amy were the only guys that had played. And Amy was he's been back and forth between O line and D line, so it was a yeah, looking back to it, it was and then I think even Liam got in there and Jelly got in there, and but yeah, it was we were just shuffling a line and trying to just figure something out. But it was Guelph from all 3 years that I played, they've always had a good D line, and they really took advantage of the inexperience of our offensive line that game, and we somehow pulled out a win in double overtime, and I'm glad we did. But I just remember like first first game experience, I just remember thinking like, wow, like this can't be how it is every single game. You know what I mean? Like we can't let this happen. And yeah, so definitely some frustration, but the transition from junior to U Sports was a big thing. Was tech There was a lot of technique, a lot of good technique coming over, but speed. Yeah, speed is definitely a big factor that in that jump from junior to U Sports because the guys are so much faster. You know what I mean? Like on like even just you get a D lineman, a D tackle that's playing junior football. Like they got some good technique, but they're not necessarily the fastest off the ball. But then you have some guys that are playing there at Guelph that game that there's one that's going to be getting drafted, I think probably in May. That's yeah, they bring the heat. They're good. They're good players, and they come right off the ball. And we survived that game though. We came out with a win, so that's always a positive. But it was definitely a confidence shaker coming into that game. I was high on everything, and then yeah, I think it was 8 sacks later. Not on just me, obviously, but as a team, we let up 8 sacks, I think, and yeah, that was it was a tough one to swallow. So
Now, how do you like? Because that's all you know at that point, and it's not like one thing with football, like, and I think I've said this recently, like a loss in football sucks more than like anything really. Like, it's like hockey. Typically, you're playing in like 2 days or maybe even the next day. Like you had to
yeah,
sit on that for 7 days. So your first introduction, like you do get the win. So sorry, it wasn't a loss, but you get the win. But like I said, like the 8 sacks, not a great day for the O line. Obviously, there's just so many different elements there.
yeah, it was really tough, and yeah, just trying to bounce back was a hard one. But I guess as much as like as much as I hate practice, it's a good thing to have to bounce back. You know what I mean? If you have a bad game on the weekend and then you come in and you're focused and ready and you have a good week at practice, it can change. It can change so much, right? So I think that's yeah. It's about a mindset. Like I know a lot of people compare it to like football each play even to like being a goalie, like when you get scored on, you got to get it out of your head, or if it sits with you, you're probably going to keep get scored on, right? So it's kind of like football in that sense where if you make a mistake or you get beat that play, you got to get rid of it, and that goes for a whole game. If you don't have a very good game, you got to get rid of it and move on to the next one. So yeah.
Now, as you progress in the league and get into this, like, I guess more of a veteran role, because it was a quick turnaround, your U Sports career. I mean, rookie year, then your second year, and then third year is your last year because of the
Yeah.
age.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was well, even like, yeah, when you say that, like my rookie year, I think we really only had like maybe three or four guys that were in the O line room that were like guys that had been there for more than 2 years, right? Like, because I think like a few of them had been their second year or third year, or yeah, just mainly second year. But yeah, so it was kind of tough. Like you kind of had to for all of our young guys, you kind of had to just step into that like veteran role because you didn't have a choice. There wasn't many veterans to lead us and to kind of show us how it's done. And because a lot of rookies, you come in for your first year, you kind of sit back, you watch, you learn, and you take it all in. For my rookie class, yeah, like when we all came in, there was a lot of rookies and a lot of those guys played that year. So we didn't really have that chance to just sit back and learn more. We were kind of thrown into it, which I wouldn't have it any other way. But it was tough though. Yeah, it was.
The offensive line position is just tough in general. Like, you don't really get any numbers or statistics to kind of justify what's a good game or a bad game because, I'll even, and feel free to correct me on any of this because I'm just kind of looking at it from the outside perspective, kind of looking in. But, there are some instances too where you've done your job, like you've blocked for the correct amount of time or you've, you did the scheme correctly, and sometimes maybe the quarterback just made a different decision or the running back, and now it's a TFL or a quarterback sack, and sometimes it still looks on you as
Yeah,
opposed
yeah,
to the actual individual when maybe you did do your job. Now that for a lot of people that's going to be something that's like very frustrating, and like I said, you don't have any other statistics to maybe back it up. Like if a running back gets tackled behind the line of scrimmage 4 times or 5 times, but he goes off and scores maybe 2 touchdowns and gets 150 yards, he kind of has that as like a
yeah,
defense mechanism for his argument, like, oh, I still had a good game. But for
yeah.
you guys it doesn't really exist. How do you just I guess remain positive and look at maybe the biggest picture and cancel out that outside noise?
Yeah, it is tough because you're right. Like when you think about it, the offensive line position, when things are going bad on the offense, it's usually everybody looks to the offensive line. You know what I mean? And when things are going good on the offense, nobody's really looking to the offensive line, right? So, I mean, there are some stats that play into it that show that we're having a good game, like mainly like rushing yards and then not letting up sacks. Those are probably the two that we would look into that kind of go to see, okay, how good of a day did we have? But yeah, you're right. Other than that, there's not a whole lot, and I think
There's
it's
definitely some advanced analytics of like, oh, like here's how much your quarterback
yeah,
averaged in the pocket, right? Like how
something
much
that
time. But
yeah, something that the NFL has that going on. But yeah,
stuff
yeah.
that does not translate really to the broadcast.
No, yeah. So no, it is tough. I think for me, just like like I said earlier, like scoring touchdowns was a way to kind of keep me up, and I think the rest of the O line too, because when we get a touchdown, like we know that we're not, they're not calling out our name with the touchdown, right? Like we know that, but but we know we played a part in that, and oftentimes, usually a pretty big part in that, like, that's the thing, like, yeah, like looking from an outside perspective, like a fan or just somebody that's, just not really knowing too much about the game, but just watching it anyway. Like, you're always looking at the quarterback and then who's scoring the touchdowns, whether it's a running back or a receiver. And so I guess for us, it's tough to not get that recognition, like each play, each game or whatever. But we know that, like, I've heard it at any level that I've been at with the offensive line, it starts with us. So, I guess that plays into the whole thing with, if the offense isn't doing good, they're looking at us too, because, like, if the offense, most games, I guess, if the offensive line is having a day, everybody else should be too, right? If you think about it. But then it kind of sucks that when the offense is having a day, nobody's really looking to the O-line, right? So I guess you just got to try and keep composed and just know that, people are going to put blame on you. But you got to know that it's more than that. It's not just one guy's fault. You know what I mean? Most of the time, right? It's a whole unit, the whole offense, right? Like if one guy's not doing their job right, then it's going to affect the rest of us, right? So I think that's just the one thing you just gotta flush it out of your mind and just tell yourself that, like, people might blame you, but you just got to put your head down and go back to work and get it done. It's tough, a lot of days it's tough, but scoring touchdowns makes it up. Yeah, it definitely makes it up.
It's all, man, like, yeah, touchdowns. I miss it so much, man. I miss seeing the other guys running to the end zone, and it's just like, oh, like, we're firing right now. Let's go.
Yeah, I know. Like, especially like a Panda game touchdown, right? Like, like most of the people there,
fireworks there too.
Yeah, a lot of the people there are just drinking anyway. But you know what? They're cheering though, so I'm gonna take it. But like another touchdown that I remember that was huge was when we were losing to McMaster in Sawyer's first year, and I remember he came into the huddle and he's like, "All right, boys, we're gonna score a touchdown right now. Like, we're gonna do it." Like, wasn't much time left on the clock. We were losing to Mac, and he just came in the huddle and he basically just called it. He said, "We're gonna score a touchdown." Sure enough, he threw that little I think it was a little screen, to Bryce down the sideline, and sure enough, he called it. It was a touchdown. And
Sawyer has admitted this. I'm pretty sure on this podcast, actually, a brutal screen pass.
It wasn't very good, and there was some guys in his face too, I'm pretty sure. But Bryce made some guys miss. I think there was one
Bryce
nice
made the whole in the sun.
Yeah, he did. He put some guys on skates, and it was quite a run for him to get down there and score that touchdown. I just remember thinking, like, yeah, like that's why we play football. You know what I mean? Like, for that feeling that you get when you guys get into the end zone, it's like, because most of the time it's not just, I mean, that play might have been just one guy, but he's celebrating with the rest of us, right? He's celebrating with the rest of the offense, and it was that's what you do it for, just scoring touchdowns. It's something else. Yeah.
What a guy, eh? Bryce just doing all the work and letting everybody else.
Letting everybody. But, Sawyer threw the football. He did.
Yeah, no, for sure. We're definitely downplaying it here, but Bryce was so much fun to watch, man.
Yeah, he made some guys miss on that play, and it was really fun. Yeah, he was a great football player, fun to watch. Yeah, great athlete, and it's just scoring. Like I said before, scoring touchdowns is just something else, and there's not a whole lot out there that can beat it. Yeah.
As an old lineman, what type of running back would you rather block for? Like a more, hard nosed run the guy over running back, or more of a finesse kind of guy who can make a couple guys miss, maybe?
They're both. It's like, I guess, a bit of both. Somebody that can do both of that, because sometimes when you get those guys that are just trucking people, sometimes you're one of the guys that they truck. They come right into the back of you and send you flying. But they both bring a lot of excitement in both those play styles, because I love watching somebody just absolutely take some guy's ankles out, and just throw a juke on them, and, like you said, finessing people. But I also like watching guys just lower the shoulder pads and just plow through some guys just to get an extra few yards, right? So yeah, somebody that can do it all is somebody that that's fun to block for, just because they're gonna make my job easier too. And then if I'm working my butt off, it's gonna make their job easier too, right? So it's yeah, it's a
Or
give and
just
take.
watch like a Derrick Henry type running back and just watch him run through
Yeah.
everybody and
Yeah, like
anyone miss.
the Titans, they got a good O line, but and they definitely open up some holes for him. But there's a lot of plays where it's just him making those guys miss. You know what I mean? And I could imagine tackling a guy that's like 6'3", 260 pounds playing, or 250 playing in the NFL, like a guy like Derrick Henry. Like I can imagine trying to bring him down. So like it would be fun to block for him. That's for sure.
I feel like I could, maybe block.
Yeah, get out there. Yeah, get out there right in front of him, and take you to the
Yeah.
promised land.
I like sometimes I don't think people realize what he ends up doing. Like he's doing to other grown men.
Yeah.
Like
Guys that have also spent their whole lives in the gym, working on their skills, and he is doing this to these grown men. Yeah, it's true. Like you see those memes where people are like, "Oh man, he has a family. Like you can't be good to him." Like, but yeah, it's very impressive. Yeah, it's very impressive.
now the gym is something else I wanted to talk about because maybe a highlight for you is the fact that you're leaving uOttawa as a record holder, for the
Yeah,
bench.
yeah. With Taylor Survey there, he technically had 31, I think, in 2013, and I got it in 2018. I'm not sure if my name's up on the
On the board,
board.
yeah.
Joey, if you watch this, get me up there. But yeah, no, really cool. It was something coming into it. Like I guess for me, like even through high school and like growing up, like just benching is like, some guys are just their genetics allow them to do different things. And I guess for me, benching has always been something that's been easy. Some guys don't like benching because it's tough. Some guys prefer squats, deadlifts, whatever. Like I like doing it all, but like benching has just always been easy for me. It's not necessarily that I've worked at it more, but it's just come easier to me. So I guess like for me coming in, like my first year of training camp, I think I hit like 27 reps, and it was a goal for me that I wanted to break it. I wanted to get 32. Leaving, I hit 30, I think, in 2018, the training camp, I hit 31, and then I had 3 testings after that before I was done, and I hit 30 each time. So I just think back to it. It was so close, but when you're repping out 225 like that, and it gets to a point where it just hits you. You know what I mean? And you're like I remember watching that video because I remember I think you recorded it and you put it up on the Twitter account. Like when I go back and watch it every now and then, I get to about the halfway mark on 32, and I just couldn't finish it. You know what I mean? Like I just wasn't able to do it. So it hits you hard. But yeah, you're right. It was a highlight coming in and kind of tying that record and having that. I think there might be a couple guys that are a part of the team that might be able to break it, whether it's in a year or two. But I guess we'll see. But yeah, it was really cool being there.
Now, this is obviously a ridiculous question, but I want to put it out there because it's like, obviously, once you just get up to like 30 reps, like at 225, like, why can't you just break it? Like,
I know it might even be a mental thing too, like
yeah.
I'm scared to break it. I don't know. Like I gotta let it stand. I don't know. Yeah, it was
It
so
is something
cool.
that seems weird. No, it's just like you can, because for the vast majority of the population, like, because me myself, I'll admit I'm nowhere close to 225. I'm not even close to 200. I'm at like, my best right now is like, well, my historical best, I guess, is like 185. I think is the highest I got. But right now I'm sitting at like 165. But like, so getting to 225 isn't a normal thing. But once you get to 225 and you're doing 30, 31 regularly, it's like, man, like, yeah, why is it?
Like I don't know. It must be just a genetic thing, I guess, because like even thinking back to it, like before they closed the gyms again, I was in there, and like when I'm doing a chest day, I'll just do a warm up of 225 for like 20 reps.
Okay, let's calm down here now. You did not just casually do that to me. I'm like opening up, being
I
vulnerable,
know.
saying
Yeah,
all
you're.
that
Yeah,
happened is 165.
I mean, 20 reps of 135 for my warm up.
Hey, yeah, whatever. Okay,
No, but yeah,
continue.
it's a genetic thing. It comes easy. Like, yeah, I think about it like I don't know why I couldn't just break that record. It was right there for me. It was sitting there ready to be broken, and but I think somebody will be breaking it soon. I guess we'll see. But there's a couple tough guys there, couple good benchers there on the team now. So I'm sure they're just waiting to have a testing day this August. So
You gonna name names? Who you
well,
putting down?
I know Julian's a good bencher, and I know when in my last year when I played there with him, I think he only hit like 25 or 26, and I think he's done more before. But in testing, he was around there, and I think he's had time to just work in the gym and just work on himself. And I think he might be a guy that could come in and break it. Yeah,
Yeah, he's young too, because what? That's
he is.
25, 26 right out of high school. Like,
Yeah, man, right out of high school. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
Because he came in. I think he was 18 playing in his first year, and then so I guess he'd be around 21 now. I'm not too sure, but because with this whole year off, I guess in between with the COVID. So, but yeah, coming out of high school to put up like 25 reps, yeah, that's saying something. I mean, he's got a good deadlift and squat too. So obviously he's a very strong guy. So he might be somebody that comes in, and there might be a couple other guys that I heard that put up some good numbers within the last 6 months or so. But yeah, I guess we'll see. I might not be that record holder for too long, so we'll see.
hey, well, you know what? Obviously, I joke in the sense of like, hey, like, why can't you just beat it? But it's an incredible accomplishment on its own.
Yeah, yeah, I just think it might just be it's you train so hard and you try and get that endurance to push and push and but yeah, when like I think usually like for me, I'd hit up in those higher numbers and yeah, just wasn't able to do it. But yeah, but a really cool thing to be able to do and like and have my name there and hopefully Joey throws me up on the board. It might even only last for another
By the time your
three
nameplate
months.
comes in, Julian's already got a beat.
Yeah, exactly. You know what though? Like I take it. He puts it up there, takes a picture, sends it to me. I can see it, and then he can take it down for Julian if that's what happens. Yeah.
What's your PB on bench?
So I haven't tried more than 405.
Okay.
4 plates. Never tried more. But I've hit 405 4 times in my life, just for one rep. But I remember the last year that I was testing. I remember Coach Carl. He told me he's like, you know what, like I put because in the testing day you kind of give yourself 3 lifts that you can do if you want. And I just remember putting like my number one like at the top. The heaviest I was going to go was 405, and he figured I could go higher, but I ended up just staying at 405. And yeah, I've hit it 4 times in my life. And I don't know if I'll ever go higher because now like lifting in the gym, I am lifting to get strong, but it's more to just try and lose weight now too, because after football, I don't need to be as heavy as I am, right? But who knows? Maybe if I just keep lifting as well, I know I'll get stronger and I'll gain some strength back. But yeah, maybe one day I'll beat my personal best. We'll see though. It's a big weight to beat, but yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Are you just more or less trying to conserve the body and not risk injury there by pushing after 405?
Yeah, I guess so. Like, cause I remember I hurt my when I was training a year ago, because I was hoping to get a combine invite or something. Nothing came, which is okay. That's how she goes. But I was training as if I was going to have one, and I remember I was benching and I did a rep for 395, and like as I was pushing it up, I felt like a little pop crack like thing in my shoulder, and I think my shoulder was just like dead for about a week. And so now thinking back to that, I'm thinking like if I'm not training for football, like Yeah, like risk of injury. Like I don't know if you saw that TikTok video, that guy with Larry Wheels.
Oh my
Oh
god,
my God, right? Like I don't want that to happen to me, right? So,
that was
like as
brutal.
it was so bad. Like I just
For
think like
context, for people listening, it was a incline press of probably what plus
oh,
400, and
yeah, 400 plus. Yeah.
and his shoulder
Yeah.
just absolutely gave out, and
Yeah, on his way down, you could see his pec just rip from where it connects into his shoulder and just yeah, he
yeah.
tore that thing right out. So yeah, I guess when you think about it, like you always risk injury going in the gym, and especially as you get heavier, like you really have to work your body to be used to those kinds of weights. You can't just shoot up too quick anyway. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully one day soon here the gyms will be open permanently and I can get back in there and maybe see if I can beat it. We'll see.
Well, it's really interesting to see too, because everyone talks about this. I've looked into it more. Mind you, I'm not an expert, but to see a lot of like world class bodybuilders even talk about like certain lifts, how it's like, okay, if you're not trying to be the best deadlifter in the world, like if you're not trying to be like a power lifter who like specializes in like the deadlift, is
Yeah.
like the risk reward makes no sense.
I saw that video. Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
that video. I can't remember who it was talking, but yeah, I saw the one guy. He said that deadlifts. He wouldn't recommend them just because of the risk reward. Because he said like he even brought up how a lot of schools in the NCAA for football training they're doing more like hang cleans and power cleans and things like that and they're not really using the deadlift as much because it's true like if your ego lifting or your technique is off even in the slightest you can absolutely just destroy your back, right?
Yeah,
So
no, well that for me personally, that's how I tweaked my back 2 summers ago, and it's still to this day. Like I
you can
like
feel, yeah,
notice it. Yeah, I can still
yeah.
feel it, and I'm like looking back, watching that video. I'm like, man, why couldn't that video come out like 2 summers
Yeah,
ago?
why could yeah, because I guess when you think about it, like deadlifts, it's been like it's in that group of three lifts where like squats,
Yeah,
deadlift, bench, right? So you when you're working out and you want to get stronger, it's something that you've always felt like you have to do, right? But there's a big risk to it. So like if you like that guy said, if you're not training to be a power lifter and actually deadlift, for I guess a living, maybe you shouldn't do it, right? So and that's another thing too is like you could even deadlift like lightweight, but there's still, like, I've known people that like, will bend over just to grab something off the ground and they kind of feel something, right? So imagine even deadlifting a plate that can sometimes, throw your back out or something. So
yeah, it's always risk reward, and I mean, now it's interesting to see how like when I first kind of got into training, like pretty intensely, like with you guys and the team.
yeah.
Obviously, that probably wasn't the right environment for me right away,
Mhm.
but mind you, I learned so much, and even like kind of getting back into it now, and regrouping, and obviously, like we were chatting before, I was talking a little bit more like my fitness and like weight loss journey
Yeah,
and
yeah,
whatnot. It's like now I'm like just having the knowledge and knowing like certain things, and it's like, oh wow, like I was absolutely draining and killing myself in the gym when realistically, maybe who knows, like maybe I should have just been going out and walking for 20
yeah,
minutes,
yeah,
right? Like,
yeah. Yeah, it's true. And like what works for some people too, might not work for other people. But yeah, like it's true. Like especially like yeah, like I remember I think you beat Coach Carl in a little vert competition there. So hopefully he watches this.
I love how I didn't even have to bring that up, and that man will never live this.
No, he won't. I hope he watches this and gets right to this point so he can turn it off. Yeah, but yeah, no, it was yeah, like you said, it's a good environment to be in, but maybe because how heavy guys are going and that team lifting, like a lot of guys' egos are getting high and they want to out bench, out deadlift, out squat, the next guy, right? So like, and that's true. Like a lot of guys are pushing each other, which can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing, right? It can lead to some injuries and stuff. So,
No,
but
100%. The biggest thing is like realizing like where you're at and like what you're trying to do, and kind of just because for me, like I'm looking around and like say for example, I'm looking at you, right? And I'm like, man, like Tanner's only 2 years older than me, or even like guys who are, say the exact same birthday as me, right? Like 97, we're born in 1997. And I'm like, man, like, you start judging, right? You're like, dude, this guy can throw up 225 for, 10, 15 times, whatever it is. And I can't even, get 165. So you try and push yourself to catch up. But like what you're completely, well, I say we, but like what I was completely missing is that, hey, I'm comparing myself to somebody who's actually been in the gym weight training since like 16 and it has like 7 years into this. And here it is for me. This is like week 7.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, like when you say like I want to search it up right now because I don't want to get it wrong. So I'll just give it a quick search.
Because there's so many elements. But what I will say, I honestly though, for the knowledge that I did gain and like the knowledge that I've been able to acquire even more, I wouldn't have traded like that initial start point like with you guys and being in there for anything, because like, man, I'm an average Joe. Like I'm not anywhere. I was a high school athlete, like nowhere near to the fact that I've been able to be in the gym with like first round NHL draft picks, Olympians, like CFL,
All
and
pros. Yeah.
right, like guys who are just professionals. Like that is such a huge advantage in just like the educational aspect.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, the knowledge you gain, and like you were saying, either like you're talking about comparing yourself. Like I wanted to get the quote right. It's comparison is the thief of joy, and I just think about that often. Like how in our like in the gym especially, like now I try not to compare myself too much because I'm just trying to work on myself and I have to be okay with where I'm at in each lift and each aspect of lifting and just try and better myself. But yeah, it's true, like comparison, right? Like when you start comparing yourself to other people, it really messes with you, right? Like at big time mentally, and you just gotta like that's the thing. Like I wish I could tell myself that too, like even years ago, is just to focus on where I'm at instead of comparing myself to other people. But yeah, like because I think as soon as you could realize that you're at where you're at because you're different than other people and that's okay, and you just work on yourself, then it'd be a big advantage to realize that, for me at least, at an earlier age. But yeah, it can definitely mess with you when you start comparing yourself to other guys, like you said, like somebody that might be the exact same birth date as you but can do this on the bench or whatever else. Like it's gonna mess with you.
And there's a whole other element that we haven't even touched on in the realm of like nutrition and the biological
True.
factors that
Right? Exactly, that's huge too. So
can't train a bad diet. That's
no,
my biggest quote that I live by right now.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah, it's true. Like if you're just throwing whatever you want into your meals and eating however much you want, it works against you, right? So you gotta if you want it bad enough, you gotta do both sides, the nutrition and the gym part of it. So yeah.
And now I want to, just before we kind of wrap up, I want to look at some highlights at UO, and I'm gonna take a guess and say for you, the Panda game with the 20 Tanner Bishops.
2018, yeah, I know. I remember. Yeah, that was a good one. Both Panda game memories are just huge. I remember you probably talked to a lot of guys, and whenever you ask them like a favorite memory, they probably say 2018 Panda. For me, it's both Pandas. Just being a part of it, I guess. It's something you like. I guess it's you put yourself in a CFL, a professional stadium and an environment, and then you're a university player. So it's it's great to be out there and but yeah, like having so many family, friends, and just people coming out to watch the games and support me, and then I get to enjoy that with them. And I'm glad my first year 2017 I didn't when we lost in double overtime, I didn't have anybody come out to watch me that year, but then I had a bunch of family and friends come out for 2018 and 2019, and I was glad that we were able to put on a win for those guys, because at halftime of 2019, it was looking a little scary. I remember like my buddies said to me after, they're like, we came out here and we were going to have a good time anyway, but we looked at each other and we said, they can't lose this game. Like at halftime, they're like, they can't lose this game. And sure enough, things went the right way for us in that second half, and we turned it around and won. So yeah, yeah, great
The
memories.
The funny thing is so when I was playing high school sports, my mom was always like, I guess the bad luck charm. Whenever she was watching or in attendance, we'd lose, right?
Oh,
So
no,
funny enough, for the first one, the 2018 one, my dad came up and obviously we won, snapped the streak. What a
yeah,
day! Like one of the highlights of my life, like maybe even the best day that I've ever been
yeah,
alive.
such a cool day. Yeah,
And
yeah,
then the year after is like because my parents, they couldn't come up at the same time. So the first year was my dad, and then the second year was my mom, and she came
okay,
up, and it was like like you said, you had that halftime, and
yeah.
even my mom was, she was talking to my dad and stuff like that, and we were all kind of like joking. It's like, man, like if she comes all the way up and we lose the second year after dad was up the previous year and we had won, it's just like
For sure, a curse or something. Bad luck charm.
it's just over with at that point. But obviously, it was
Uh,
great that we
yeah,
won, and it was it was unfortunate I couldn't get, like, we all couldn't be up at the same time, right? But it's like
yeah,
it is a weekend, and especially you can probably attest to this too. It's one of those weekends where it's like you can kind of justify the trip because it's such a big event. So as somebody who, and you're the same way, that lives so far away from home and doesn't get to spend like those like quick little short weekends out at home,
yeah.
it's one of those where it's like, oh, it's nice to actually, get everybody up.
It is. Yeah, yeah, it is because like for me, I guess most years when I would go home would be right after spring camp and the and exams were all done. So I'd usually go home in May. So I'd go home for about a month. I'd come home in June or come back to Ottawa in June. And so for me, it would be like June, July, August, and September. Sorry, is it's tough because you're grinding through training camp, you're getting into school, and you're playing football, and you start to miss your family and your friends. So having that Panda game weekend where whether it's I had two people come from out west in 2019 and three buddies come from out west in 2018. It's just nice to have that like in the middle because I'd go home at Christmas as well. So it'd be nice to kind of make up for that lost time, but being back home and yeah, it was, they'd come out for 4 days, but it was still, we'd turn 4 days and it would feel like a whole week just spending together and yeah, and just having the like Panda when you're like we were downtown Gatineau the both years because Ottawa was just so busy, but like the city was buzzing. You know what I mean? Like everybody was out and everybody was trying to have a good time, and it was a really cool feeling. Yeah, yeah,
The
really cool
the
feeling.
whole week is great, honestly.
It
I
is.
love being on campus that week. Like there's
Yeah,
just a different vibe. Like through like the whole student body, like just everything. And like water tastes better, the grass is greener. Like
yeah, it's true. Everything is. Yeah, that week leading up to it, it's yeah, it's a really exciting week. Yeah, it's just like you said. Yeah, the vibes that you get from being on campus and everything. Because not everybody goes out to the game, but a lot of people do, and it's just cool to have that feeling of yeah, Panda coming up, and everybody gets excited. So
yeah, and yeah, it's true. It's just like there is something about it. Obviously, like the people and the atmosphere and the rivalry, and there's a big history there between the two schools. But yeah, there is just something that, like, because even I look back at that first year, right, and even going into the second year. So the first year when we lost in double overtime, like that week, there was a lot of excitement on campus, and then even unfortunately, we don't break the streak there, and it's like four consecutive losses for the school.
yeah,
You almost think that sometimes, like, the hopes are a little down or things are dead, and it's just like you would almost expect the atmosphere on campus to be like, oh, another Panda game. Like
yeah,
I'm sure
yeah,
there is that if you really look closely enough for it, but it really
yeah,
wasn't the case. Like, and obviously we got to break that the streak, which was huge, and like I said, such a fun. We can say it 100 times. It was an incredible day, but leading
yeah,
up to it, it was still just like it wasn't like, oh, like, man, I bet the GGs are gonna lose again. Like
yeah,
it was fun. It was excitement. It was like,
yeah.
hey, let's do this.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a really cool feeling just leading up to it, and then to be the ones that get to walk away with the win is it's the best part about it. But
For sure.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
Pedro's still where he belongs too.
yeah.
Pedro the Panda
Still,
is still at
he's still
uOttawa.
home. He's still home. Yeah. So hopefully, hopefully every year after when football gets started back up again. Hopefully this year. I'm really hoping for a season. A lot of friends that are still playing on the team, and a lot of these guys, it's their last year. So I really hope they get that chance because I enjoyed having my last year, my senior year, and playing and getting to you know uh get that last year out because some guys might not go to the CFL and that might be their last chance at playing ball. So
It's just
yeah,
closure too, right? Like it's
yeah,
like, oh, like this is how it ended, right? There's no like, oh, I wonder or
yeah,
anything like that, right?
yeah,
It's like, okay,
exactly. Yeah,
because
exactly.
that's the thing. I've been on the sidelines for like losing seasons and like the end and stuff like that. And the thing is like you just there is comfort in just knowing like, okay, you know what, we did everything we could, but we just, unfortunately it wasn't in the cards for us, kind of thing,
Yeah,
right? So I can't
yeah,
imagine just being stuck in the sense of like just wonder, right? Because who's to say if last season was to happen, hey, like nobody can say that like, oh, this could have been a Vanier Cup team or something like
yeah,
that,
yeah,
which is a hard
exactly.
thing to just sit there and be like, yeah, I guess we'll never know, right? Like that's
Yeah,
that's hard.
it is tough it's definitely tough to take that in. Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, like with me, I'm pretty certain that I'm done playing football, and
Yeah, I was
yeah.
gonna ask what's next for Tanner Bishop.
For me, I'm about to graduate here. Well, I guess I just handed in my last exam yesterday, and
Hey, there we
now,
go.
yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah, now I'm just waiting to see if I passed everything. I'm sitting good, so I think I will. I hope I will. But and then I guess graduation day will be in June, and yeah, I'll have that, and um, I'm starting a job just doing some landscaping tomorrow actually, and so that'll be nice to do for the summer and into the fall, and yeah, I might get into my field sooner than later. Who knows what'll happen, but I got my degree in social sciences, so there's a lot out there. There's a lot of paths that I can take, and yeah, so we'll see where life takes me. I might stay out in Ottawa, Gatineau area. I might go back out west with the girlfriend, or who knows what'll happen. But yeah, just for now, just enjoy life. It's a tough situation for everybody right now with COVID, and it's getting worse in Ontario, and it seems to be getting worse pretty much everywhere across Canada. So I'm just hoping that things start looking better soon, and because I feel like we're all social humans, social beings, and we need to have people to spend life with, and enjoy life with and do things. So, but uh, but yeah, for me, I'm also hoping maybe I get a shot at coaching football too, because it was such a big part of my life from when I was I guess 12, 13 till 24, 25. So, it was, and that's all I thought about all the time. Football was always on my mind, and just trying to get better, and I think it definitely made me a better person too. So I definitely would love to have football in my life going forward. So hopefully I can get something in with coaching, and because I know what football did for me. So I'd love to play a role in doing that for some kids growing up, and helping out with that. So, but yeah, so we'll see where life takes me, but just enjoying it for now, and yeah, and just looking forward to the future. So
Well,
yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for you. I mean, man, you were such a joy to get to work with every day, and I miss you a lot. And obviously, we bonded over the fact of just being coast to
Yeah,
coast kind of thing. And
yeah, and coming in like the same year too was really cool to get to know each other, and my mom really appreciates you for taking all the pictures, and and she really, yeah, she's always telling me to thank you, and tell you how nice the pictures are of me, and so I should make sure I put that in there. And you also did my highlight tape for me too, which was huge, which was a really big thing for me. And maybe it didn't get me to a draft or to a team or anything, but I have that with me for the rest of my life. And I've even in the last year and a bit, I've gone back and watched it a few times. Watch me get to manhandle some guys, and yeah, so I thank you for that. And yeah, I miss hanging out and seeing you around too. And I know it was nice to build a connection, and maybe one day we'll be able to reunite with some of the boys too. And Yeah, and
100%. I always loved the summer barbecues with the O line.
yes, and we loved having you out there. You were always an honorary lineman because we knew you loved us and we loved you too. So we loved having you around. So yeah, so maybe if that's something that'll if they can have a season this year, hopefully maybe somebody will throw that out there and maybe I'll go. I don't know if I will, but yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I'm an old man now, so we'll see.
Exactly. Got to check the curfew,
Well, in Quebec too, like it's 8 p.m. now. So if
Oh, yeah. Gee, I didn't
yeah,
even think of that. I was
yeah,
more or less making the joke of like bedtime.
being
time.
old. I know
Absolutely.
you and well, more Tremaine was always teasing me about Nurse Julia taking care of me because I'm so old, and yeah, but yeah, no, yeah. So we'll see what happens. See what I hope those guys get a season this year because I know how much football means to them because I know how much it meant to me and it still does. So I'm really hoping those guys get a season and hopefully things start turning around for the better. And yeah, and if you're ever out in Ottawa, always shoot me a message. If restrictions allow it, we can go grab lunch or dinner or something. And yeah,
You'll know I'll be back 100%. I love that city so much and I miss it. And yeah, it really is the current climate of it all, right? That has kept me away from
yeah,
that spot. I'd be a guy who'd be like, oh, like long weekend. All right, let's go to Ottawa.
yeah. I'm going. I'm getting on a plane and yeah, no,
Yeah,
for sure.
I love that spot so much. But hey, man, this has been great. It's been so nice catching up, and this is everything that I had for you and more. Obviously, part of the show where I just hand it over to you. It's your show. Whatever you, I know we covered a lot, but whatever you want to chat about, man, life lesson, childhood story, whatever you want to say, show's yours, man.
Um, no, I think we covered everything. You got a bit of my backstory. We got into hockey and football and I talked a bit about everything, future, past, now, right? So
A little bit of
I think we
acting.
covered everything. Yeah, a bit of acting too. Who knows? You guys might see me on the screen soon. I mean, I could see myself fitting in pretty well as an actor, but
I
I
love
don't
it.
know. It's a commitment to make to drop everything, and I'd probably have to do acting school, or I could just show up in an audition somewhere and just say
Hey,
some lines, and who knows, right? But
start tossing the headshot out
yeah,
everywhere.
yeah. I feel like I could be like a Seth Rogen or not a Seth Rogen, a Seth not Seth. Why am I thinking of Seth? It's his character in Superbad. Seth is his name. Jonah Hill.
Oh,
Yeah, I'd be
sure.
like a Jonah Hill. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that type of funny guy. That's who I'd like to be. That's who I could portray myself as on the screen. But yeah, no, I think we touched everything. We covered everything, and I was really thankful for getting this invite to come on. I joked about earlier that I was waiting for it, and it's nice to talk to you again, and yeah, but I think we covered everything though. Yeah.
Hey, I'll say the same thing I said to Spooner, right? I just it's not that I didn't want to have you on as the very first guest. I had to warm myself up and practice 60 times just to
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, that's fair. And I mean, you got a lot of people that you're networked with and friends with, and a lot of people that a lot of big names coming up, a lot of pros, right? So I'm honored to be a guest on the show because I'm just a retired GG now, but
Hey,
uh but
let's not sell short, man.
no.
You're up there. Yeah. I will say that's something like I am very proud of like every guest that I have on the show because there is some form of like story there, right? So but yeah, no, all the man, everybody, I love all the guests on Greels Reels, man. Like everybody, I don't have kids, but I feel like it's that whole argument where it's like you can't pick your favorite more or less. Like every
Yeah, you got it. Yeah,
wants to
yeah. No, exactly. I definitely get that. Yeah, and I mean, but yeah, like for you, I guess like choosing like you've got so many people, so many different experiences, stories, just so many different characters to choose from, right? So it's I know it's not easy to pick one because like you said, it's an episode what each week, right? So it's tough to just like you got a lot of people to choose from. So but I'm definitely thankful and honored to be on here and yeah, yeah.
I'm just trying to go. Eventually, I want to get to everyone, right? Like
Yeah.
we're not going away anytime soon, right?
No.
Hopefully, we get to a point where hey, we're pumping these out every day or 3 a week, something like that, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, that would be really cool. Yeah, that'd be really cool. Yeah, it's been fun seeing everything that you've worked on. You put a lot of time into everything, a lot of work into everything, and it's really cool just seeing everything, come together for you. And yeah, it's been a joy. I guess you got to see me, develop as a player, and it's been cool to see you develop in your field and in all the media, all the things that you've created. It's been really cool to see, and you've done a lot of good work. So, and I'm happy to be a part of it. So,
appreciate that a lot, man. Yeah, those first season photos are definitely a little bit rougher than the ones I'm doing now. So I appreciate you guys enjoying those.
yeah, 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 yeah. But
Well, hey,
yeah, I guess last, I guess I'm sure my mom's gonna watch this whole thing. And maybe some of the boys, maybe my brothers and hopefully Julia. So I'm gonna say a quick I love you to all those guys, my mom, Julia, my brothers, my buddies back home, because I with this new gig I probably won't get to see them going home till Christmas. So it'll be another 8 months that I sit through, but I'm sure I think they'll watch all the way through. I hope so. So if they made it this far, I love you guys. Yeah.
This is where you can test the loyalty, but
Yeah, exactly. I'll see. Hey, did you see the message I had in there for you? If they tell me no, yeah, fake friend.
well, hey, in all fairness, which is a very valid point, they could have just shut it off because they were just tired of listening to me, which is fair.
No, that's not true. I've rambled a bunch, and yeah, I mean, my stories. It's I think it's a good one, and it's got a lot of history, and coming, like you said, I think coming out from the West Coast and you coming out from the East Coast, it's really cool to come together to do this, and so hopefully they didn't turn it off, but yeah, I guess we'll see.
I'm sure they didn't. Hey, man, once again, thanks so much. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, buddy.
All right, and thank you guys for tuning in to this week of Greels Reels. Like we said at the beginning, if you can do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, like button, comment something down below, share with a friend, all that good stuff. Really appreciate you guys tuning in this week, and that's all we got for this week. That was Tanner Bishop. All right, in the meantime, stay best kind.